We've traced ragtime's influence on Russians and Frenchmen in Paris, on New Yorkers from Danbury, Connecticut. But ragtime also left its mark on one of Kansas City's very own men of fame, Virgil Thomson, the composer, organist, author, and critic.
Well, in my childhood, ragtime was all over the place. And I think Scott Joplin worked out of Kansas City in those years. According to Rudy Blesch's history book about ragtime, it all started in Sedalia, Missouri, about 1896. Well, that was the year I was born, but not in Sedalia. I was born in Kansas City. But by the time I was 6, there was ragtime all around Kansas City. By the time I was 10, I could play it a bit.
You could?
Oh, yes. I could play the maple leaf rag and a few things like that.
You played from the sheet music?
Oh, sure.
Oh, wonderful. Did you ever hear 12th Street Rag in Kansas City?
Sure. Everybody knew about 12th Street Rag because everybody knew about 12th Street. 12th Street was the sin street, you see. I remember, it wasn't too long after that when Henry Mencken had a magazine of his own.
Is that the famous Henry L. Mencken?
Yes. He spoke of Kansas City with the following detail, that within a half-mile radius of 12th and Main Street, there were 2,000 second-story hotels.
With a piano player in each second story?
Oh, I don't know anything about piano players, at least in those second-story hotels. They were there for other purposes than music, I think.
I'm sure you're right. So
the places with music were likely to be basement restaurants. There were lots of those around, and they had music.
Symphony on a Hymn Tune is a favorite of mine. You once told me, and I'd like you to tell us again, how that piece came to be. I believe you were in Paris when you first wrote it.
Oh, yes, I wrote it in Paris, and in the spring of 1926. And my musical model for it was, believe it or not, Brahms's variation on a
theme of Haydn?
Hymn tune by Haydn.
Oh, how marvelous.
Yeah.
But the tunes themselves...
Now, this doesn't fit the form of the Brahms, and it doesn't sound like the Brahms, but I started off with that idea of writing a developed musical work from a hymn. And I took this old hymn, which is very common in the South, which they sing to the words of How Firm a Foundation. In the North, they sing another tune to How Firm a Foundation, the one that we call Adeste Fidelis.
Were you homesick when you wrote this?
I never got homesick in Paris. But you remember your origins. Paris always reminded me of Kansas City. I think it reminds everybody of his hometown.
In the last movement, I detect ragtime rhythms. I mean...
Well, I think almost any American musician of my age has a little ragtime that'll come to the surface every now and then. Even in Ives, you almost feel it.
So we've come almost full circle. A Missouri youth steeped in hymns and ragtimes moves to where else but Paris and writes about home.